At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Well, last night, President Trump announced 77 more pardons. These are related to the 2020 election controversy. Among those, he's giving reprieves to his former attorney, Rudy Giuliani, and ex-White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Months after the president issued hundreds of pardons to Trump supporters convicted of their roles in the Capitol riot. And speaking of that,
the BBC is legally obliged to be politically impartial. The publicly funded British broadcaster's latest scandal raising accusations of bias. Critics say a documentary on the Capitol riots of January 6, 2021 was edited to make it seem like President Trump explicitly endorsed violence, leaving out a section of his speech where he said he wanted supporters to demonstrate peacefully. Now, BBC Director General Tim Davie has stood down, saying he has to take ultimate responsibility for mistakes. New CEO Deborah Thomas following Davie out the door. President Trump has thanked the British newspaper that broke the story. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
Wall Street surging stock futures suggest a rebound from last week's selling. Fox News.
This is Viewpoint, a presentation of the News and Public Affairs Department of AM 1490 WHBB. We welcome your input on the issues of the day. You can contact us on the Viewpoint line by calling 875-1490. The opinions expressed by our callers and guests do not necessarily reflect those of the management and staff of AM 1490 WHBB. And now, here's today's Viewpoint.
And good morning and welcome into the Monday morning Viewpoint for this Monday morning, November 10th, 2025. I'm your host, Randy Williams, 334-875-1490 and 875-1492 are the numbers to call if you have comments or questions. You can also join us live on YouTube. Our live feed now, we stream live on YouTube. And if you need to find the YouTube link, you can go to selmapostherald.com. And right under the logo, we've got the swearing-in ceremony of Mayor Moss and the City Council. And then under that, you see the sports link. And under the sports link, the live stream link to YouTube. We also have a link on the Selma Post Herald Facebook page, and that's the Selma Post Herald. And so we are now on YouTube. And actually, I think the YouTube experience seems to be working better, less problems. I'll put it to you like that. And we still have some more work we're going to be doing in the future on the YouTube channel for selmapostherald.com. Good morning to you. How do you feel? Well, it looks like we may be nearing an end to the federal shutdown for a while. And it has taken a total of 8 Democrats have decided that they're going to break with their caucus and bring this shutdown to an end. And so I jokingly said earlier that maybe one of the reasons might be because they can't get out of Washington. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, I can't even imagine 20,000 flights, 20 or 30,000 flights a day is what, if not more. I think maybe 50,000 is the accurate number. Can you imagine that? I mean, how many flights a day in the air? And so, you know, there's a lot of ways to view something. And from a business point of view, the airlines, when the FAA ordered that they take a percentage of the flights and cancel them, the airlines sacrificed the routes that were not making money. the flights that make the least amount of money are the ones that are not being serviced. And so, and I think it comes up to something like a third. And the ones that they maintain are the ones that they're already making money on, making a profit. That's business. That's why they're in business, to make a profit and to make money. And sometimes their goal to make a profit and our goal as consumers to get a good deal, they don't always match. So, you know, we shouldn't be surprised when these kind of things happen. You know, I'm not, at least. You know, and I kind of like to remind folks that after all, these guys are in business to make money and it's not a nonprofit. You know, these guys make millions and billions of dollars, and they're not going to sacrifice that. But that's another story. Tell you what I want to do, though. Let's get another perspective. There is a website and magazine called the Economic Times, and I think let's see how they're in the DC area, so they can kind of give us a bird's eye view of their perspective to see what happened on yesterday. Let's listen to their report about the senators that are breaking this filibuster.
It looks like we're getting very close to the shutdown. We'll never agree to give any substantial money or any money to really prisoners, illegals that come into our country. And I think the Democrats understand that. And it looks like we're getting close to the shutdown ending. You'll know very soon. Thank you very much.
After 40 days of a paralyzing federal shutdown, hope finally flickers in Washington. The U.S. Senate advances a crucial bill to reopen the government, a move that could restore paychecks, food aid, and air travel normalcy. In a rare bipartisan move, at least giving Republicans the numbers they need to advance it. The bill also includes 3 full-year appropriations packages and promises a December vote on healthcare subsidies, a key Democratic demand. The agreement would reverse some of the mass layoffs during the shutdown and restore food benefits under SNAP for an entire year. However, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said he will still vote against the measure, arguing it doesn't go far enough on healthcare fixes.
Democratic leader.
Mr. President, America is in the midst of a Republican-made healthcare crisis, worse than anything the American people have seen in decades. Republicans have spent the past 10 months dismantling the healthcare system, skyrocketing costs, and making every day harder for American families. Because of Republicans, Americans are going to suffer immensely as this healthcare crisis gets worse. Democrats have been fighting to end this crisis over and over again. Democrats have wanted to lower costs, but Republicans fought us every step of the way. We gave Republicans not 1, not 2, but 3 chances this year to extend the ACA premium tax credits. Republicans said no every time. On Friday, we offered Republicans a compromise, a proposal that would extend the ACA tax credits for a year and open up the government at the same time. They once again said no. And when they said no on our compromise, they showed that they are against any health care reform. Instead, they passed the biggest health care cuts in our nation's history just to give tax breaks to billionaires. And even then, they weren't satisfied with merely closing hospitals and community health clinics. They callously did nothing to deal with the looming crisis of ACA credits. Premiums will spike by thousands of dollars a month. Millions will lose insurance. Democrats have sounded the alarm. We have demanded for months to meet with the Republican leadership. But Republican leaders refuse to even discuss the issue, let alone negotiate it. We've asked them to meet in the summer and throughout the shutdown. To this day, Republicans still say no. We asked President Trump to step in and meet with us to deliver lower health care for Americans, and instead, Donald Trump has taken the American people hostage, from cutting off food aid to hungry families and vets and seniors and kids, to manufacturing flight cancellations, to cutting off home heating aid, while he builds a billion-dollar ballroom with gold-plated toilets. Therefore, I must vote no. This healthcare crisis is so severe, so urgent, so devastating for families back home that I cannot in good faith support this CR that fails to address the healthcare crisis. But let me be clear, however this vote turns out, this fight will and must continue. Democrats must fight because of millions of families will lose health care coverage. We must fight because children who are dying of cancer will not get health care coverage. We must fight because a senior citizen cannot afford to pay $25,000 a year just for health insurance. We must fight to keep millions from financial ruin. And make no mistake about it, the American people know who is inflicting this health care trauma on them: Donald Trump and the Republicans. Americans will remember a Republican intransigence every time they make a sky-high payment on health insurance. So we are going to fight legislatively, fight back home, fight in the courts, and bring this fight in the elections. Health care costs made a major impact on the 2025 election, and they will certainly have an even greater impact on the 2026 election. So in conclusion, the contrast between the two parties is crystal clear. Republicans are the party hell-bent on taking people's health care away, all to bow to the billionaire elite and special interests. Democrats are united as the party of lower health care costs and improving our health care system. We will not give up this fight. We will deliver for the American people. I yield the floor.
Meanwhile, President Donald Trump has renewed his push to replace Affordable Care Act subsidies with direct cash payments to individuals, calling current subsidies a windfall for insurance companies.
Well, it looks like we're getting very close to the shutdown. We'll never agree to give any substantial money or any money to really prisoners, illegals that come. And I think the Democrats understand that. And it looks like we're getting close to the shutdown ending. You'll know very soon. Thank you very much.
As the shutdown stretches past its 40th day, air travel, food aid, and national parks remain crippled.
And the second issue, which is air traffic controllers, which, by the way, this was not an air traffic control issue. It appears that it was a mechanical issue. Everyone's been clear on that. That is not speculation. Two very separate issues at play. In regard to air traffic control, we've had a conversation over the course of the last month about some of the challenges that we're having in. We know that we are 2,000 controllers short, air traffic controllers short, and we have surged our academy to bring more controllers into our system. We are 20% up in controllers through the academy thus far this year. I've also offered air traffic controllers who are of the age of retirement a 20% upfront cash bonus to actually stay on. Some of the best controllers we have don't retire, keep working for us. All of that has been reducing the pressure on the staffing side of air traffic control. It's working, but it takes years to bring more well-trained certified controllers into the airspace. The shutdown is having an impact on our ability to maintain those numbers and dent that 2,000 shortage that we have. You also know we're modernizing the airspace. We have an old set of equipment that we use to control America's airspace. We have, though, the safest airspace in the world. And that's not because of the equipment, that's because of the well-trained air traffic controllers that we have operating the national airspace. We received $12.5 billion from the Congress in one big beautiful bill, and we need a total of $31.5 billion to accomplish the mission of completely rebuilding America's airspace. The work has begun. We're transitioning our telecommunications. We're about to announce a project manager to do all of the work for this brand new system. But I want to talk about what's happening over the course of the last month with regard to the shutdown. Our air traffic controllers and a lot of those who work at DOT but throughout government, they haven't received paychecks. And many of these employees, they're the head of household. They have their spouse at home. They have a child or two or three. And when they lose income, they are confronted with real world difficulties in how they pay their bills. And so for air traffic controllers, they received a partial payment in early October. The second payment, they got a big fat zero, no paycheck at all. Tomorrow, they get a pay stub email on what their next paycheck is going to be. And when that pay stub comes out, that is also going to be zero. So they will have gone a month without any pay. And what we're finding is that our air traffic controllers, because of the financial pressures at home, are taking side jobs. They need to put food on the table, gas in the car, pay their bills. By the way, I do not want them to take side jobs. I want them to show up for work. We have asked them to show up for work, but I'm not naive to understand that they're trying to figure out how they meet their daily obligations. And so because of that, we have seen staffing pressures throughout our airspace. Those who travel will see that we've had more delays. We've had more cancellations. We do not want to see disruptions at the FAA or here at DOT. We don't want that. But our number one priority is to make sure when you travel safely. And that's why, as the administrator and I have been talking throughout the day, his team has been working for the last 24, 36, 48 hours crunching data. We're noticing that there's additional pressure that's building in the system. And again, our priority is to make sure that you're safe. And so we're going to talk about additional measures that we are going to take that's going to reduce the risk profile in the national airspace. And I'm going to turn it over to the administrator to do that as he walks through what that plan is going to look like. I anticipate there'll be additional disruptions. There'll be frustration. We are working with the airlines. They're going to work with passengers. But in the end, our sole role is to make sure that we keep this airspace as safe as possible.
And that is from the Economic Times, one of their reports. I think I also should point out and remind us that regardless of who is making a point, whether it's Democratic talking points or Republican talking points or others, that basically they're all, I'm not going to say following the rules. They're not necessarily following the rules of debate, but they are debating. And so that basically means each side thinks they're right. And at the end of the day, both parties are positioning themselves for the midterm elections. Both parties are trying to find ways to have the majority in Congress and the Senate. And at the end of the day, power and money is still what it boils down to. And I hope that people don't lose sight of that. You shouldn't. Whenever we listen to all of these different arguments, hopefully we'll keep in mind that they're trying to win an argument and that they are in the midst of a debate. And so consider the source whenever they start giving their talking points. Remember, very, very, very rarely does one side or the other put themselves in the other party's shoes. It's just the opposite. And so we'll see how this thing unfolds. I'm glad to see that at least 8 Democrats said, all right, you know, they're going to take the heat because they're going to take some heat. Everybody's going to take heat. But at the end of the day, they really hopefully will come up at some point in the future with some sort of a solution that prohibits being able to use people's jobs and salaries and families and food and transportation, you know, as a bargaining chip, especially when the very people who are bargaining and using these as bargaining chips don't have anything to lose. They don't risk, because the Constitution, as I understand it, provides that Congress has to get paid regardless. So I can talk all kinds of trash because I'm going to get paid. Never mind, I can use any kind of a chip I want. I'm going to get paid. I don't know what that says about, where a lot of lawmakers are as it relates to their constituents. But at the end of the day, as I have said from the very beginning, do your job. Let's take this break.
We're with Barry Parker at Reliable Chevrolet and GMC. Now, Barry, some folks have said they ain't but 2 seasons, football season and hunting season.
And we're right in the middle of football season. So come on down, folks. If you're getting ready to head out to a high school game or a college game, or maybe even a NFL game, we have got to rise for you from something in good gas mileage all the way up to the big Tahoes and Yukons and Suburbans and Yukon XLs. Or you might want to go in a pickup truck. We got you covered there too. So whatever you're looking for when it comes to traveling, we can fix you up in a brand new Chevrolet or GMC. Here on lot, ready to go, ready for you to come in and pick out the one that you want to drive today.
And of course, you're not going to let anybody beat the deal that's offered here at Reliable. We've got the computer, and we'll put in all the information, and it'll spit out the best possibility for you.
That's right, George. We're not going to sit here and talk about you saving tens and 20 of thousands of dollars. We're going to say, hey, come in, sit down with us, pick out the unit that you want. We're going to put your zip code in and the unit that you choose, and we're going to let your computer show you all the different choices that you have in saving money right here at Reliable Chevrolet GMC.
And don't forget about the great selection of pre-owned automobiles. A great selection of makes and models and price ranges for you to come by and take a look at today.
All service and ready to go. We can do the financing for you, set up with all the major banks and credit unions, and of course, GM Financial. We can handle it all. As I say all the time, we're a one-stop shop.
Reliable Chevrolet and GMC.
14th Lawrence Street, downtown Selma. Phone number 872-2337. Or check us out on our website at reliablegmc.com.
Did you know that Alabama has the highest rate of cardiovascular disease events, including death, hospitalizations, and emergency department visits among all 50 states? According to America's Health Rankings, over 12% of adults in Alabama have been diagnosed with the disease. That's well above the national average. That's why we're spreading the word about Alabama vascular specialists here on the radio. It's also why AVS is growing to better serve the patients of this area. Dr. Ralph Red has recently added Dr. Irwin Mike Giddens to the staff, and now AVS proudly welcomes Dr. Richard Tan, who has just arrived from New York. If you or someone you love suffers from high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, or obesity, they could be on their way to very serious problems with their vascular system if not treated. Talk to your medical provider about AVS, Alabama Vascular Specialists, with offices in Montgomery and Selma, 334-801-9952, online at alabamavascularspecialist.com.
Good morning, I'm Jasmine Williams at WSFA 12 News. Here's what's happening this Monday. Some weather now, the freezing temps are here, and that means the warming station in Montgomery should open up. It usually opens up when those temps drop below 35 degrees, which is expected to happen tonight. Guests can expect to receive hot meals, snacks, warm showers, and a place to sleep, along with coffee and a television. The government shutdown continues this morning, but overnight, senators came to an agreement. The Senate voted 60-40 to reopen the government. Agreement could deliver enough Democratic votes needed to pass the bill. That bill, though, does not include an extension of Affordable Care Act subsidies. Instead, the Senate has agreed to vote on a separate bill for an extension in December. Tomorrow, schools, federal buildings, and more will be closed for Veterans Day. And if you're looking to celebrate, the city of Montgomery will host its annual Veterans Day parade in downtown Montgomery. You can watch that parade live that morning on WSFA 12 News. Our live coverage will start tomorrow at 10. I'm Jasmine Williams with your morning headlines.
1490 WHBB. Good morning on this Monday morning. Randy Williams with you until 9, and I'm going to continue to play some sound bites related to this shutdown. But first, let's go back. Let's go to the phone line. Viewpoint, you're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Williams.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought, but since today is a holiday before a holiday, I thought I would give you a call. Today, Applestein and I have been together 58 years.
No. 58 years. That is one. You know, you guys don't even, you don't even look like you're 58 years old.
Well, you're very kind.
You must have got married when you were babies, huh?
We are extremely glad that God has allowed us to still be here. So I wanted to share that for whatever it's worth. And that's the program.
Well, you know, a lot of people really think very highly of you both. Your wife is certainly is first class when it comes to so many things, but specifically and particularly speech. You know, she stresses how important it is for people to be able to communicate and not with hip hop, but to be able to use proper English in order to get you through some doors, huh?
Yeah, well, I do appreciate that, and you're exactly right. I think it's interesting. She began her career after college at the R.B. Hudson High School, and in fact, some of her students were no more than a year or so older than she was.
Wow.
She finished 30 plus years in the system. She went to Waters Community College as an adjunct and still receive calls from time to time to assist there. So this has been really a wonderful journey. So thank you, and I pray that you will have a blessed day.
Well, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Now he serves on the Budget and Appropriations Committee.
To enjoy your
Senator
day.
Kennedy,
We want you
welcome.
to have 58
Always
more
good to have
years,
you
huh?
with us. What is your response to Chuck Schumer's proposal here to keep those
Right.
ACA benefits going for another year? Bipartisan committee to work on those and reopen the government with the clean
together.
CR.
You see, that's what I call a pillar of the community. Those are the kind of examples that we really need.
God, please give me patience.
Attention to,
because if you give me strength, I'm going to
sure
need bail
this
money.
next generation understands what that brings to the table. Another thing is, especially, I speak about his wife, Mrs. Johnson. I mean that, and because at the end of the day, and I know I have some critics out there, but what they don't seem to want to embrace is I insist on competence. There's just no excuse not to be competent, and it's going to get really bad, really, really bad, because as we enter into this digital age, and as we're in the digital age, but as artificial intelligence creates new positions and new occupations, our skill set and level of competence is going to be even greater. Why would I encourage in any way our young people to be less than excellent? Why would I lower the bar? Why in the world would I put more stress on what we do sexually before I'm even a teenager? Before you're even a teenager, I want you to learn about sexual habits and sexual practices. And I'm not trying to instill a good educational habits, like work study habits and work ethics. And by the time you get to be a young adult, if you don't know how to dress for an interview or fill out an application or write your own resume, what are you going to do? Some of us, we don't even think. SNAP, food stamps. I saw an interview with a young lady, and they were asking her, she said she won't be getting her SNAP food stamps this month. And the interviewer asked her, said, well, so this is a young lady now, a young lady said, do you work? She said, what does that have to do with anything? I don't work. I don't have to work. You know what I'm saying? So we better wake up. But anyway, I don't want to go into that too deep, except to say that I insist on competence, on us being the best of whoever we are, the best of what we can be, right? You know, that's just the bottom line. I just can't, there's no excuse for not being able to lead our young people and the next generation into understanding the value of competence and family values. You know, a lot of these lawsuits and Supreme Court rulings, and at the end of the day, all these different organizations and arguments that I hear are basically saying, I want the freedom to be able to do whatever I want to do sexually and not have any consequences. It doesn't work that way. But anyway, let's see here. Let's see. This is another interview that was done with Senator John Kennedy. I think it's so ironic that a senator from Mississippi would be named John Kennedy. You know, like the former president that was assassinated, John Kennedy. But this is a Fox News interview with him regarding the shutdown.
Louisiana Senator John Kennedy joins me now. He serves on the Budget and Appropriations Committee. Senator Kennedy, welcome. Always good to have you with us.
I said Mississippi, I meant Louisiana. Same thing.
Your response to Chuck Schumer's proposal here to keep those ACA benefits going for another year, bipartisan committee to work on those and reopen the government with the clean CR?
God, please give me patience, because if you give me strength, I'm going to need bail money. What Senator Schumer is suggesting is that we do the dumbest thing possible that won't work. Stupid should hurt more. Senator Schumer says we should just extend the status quo for a year. What does that mean? That means that we would have to take $35 billion of taxpayer money and give it directly to the health insurance companies without any commitment of lowering premiums. How is that going to reduce health care costs? How's that going to reduce premiums? The health care companies are going to take $35 billion from the taxpayers and put it into their pockets. I mean, duh. I don't know what Senator Schumer is thinking. Earth to Chuck. I mean, earth to Chuck. Am I going to vote for this? The short answer is no. The long answer is hell no. I think we're just going to have to get used to the fact that we've been in a shutdown. We're going to be in a shutdown for a while. I voted 14 times to lift the shutdown. The Democrats and Senator Rand Paul have voted 14 times to keep the government shut down. We're just going to be here for a while.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like what Senator Schumer just proposed is really any different than where Democrats have been all along. They wanted $1.5 trillion. You say $36 billion. I guess there's a lot of different numbers on this package. But to keep the Obamacare benefits were expanded during COVID. And of course, once you give something, very hard to claw it back. So that's where we are right now. And so the impact of having that extension pulled away is making people's new health care benefits rise. But as you say, it's not fixing the problem in terms of lowering costs. Is there any, I just spoke with the former Governor Sununu, and he said, what they need to do is accept Senator Thune's next proposal and agree on it and get Democrats across the board on it. What do you think that is going to look like?
He's just going to bring up the same resolution. Times. Look, if we've learned anything during this shutdown, we've learned that the Obamacare Affordable Care Act exchanges, they're not working. They're not lowering health care costs. Extending the status putting fresh paint on rotten wood.
So
Why would we want to do that?
Excuse me. President Trump has a solution, and he talked about it again today. Watch this.
I am totally in favor of terminating the filibuster, and we would be back to work within 10 minutes after that vote took place. So we'd pass if we terminated the filibuster. Voter ID, no mail-in voting, no cash bail, no men and women's sports, no welfare for illegals. You could go on and on.
He's just saying you have to embrace it. You have to go for the fact that you have the House, the Senate, and the White House, and think about the things that you could get passed if you're willing to do this. Are you willing to vote to eliminate the filibuster, Senator?
Well, President Trump has made his position, at least to me, abundantly clear. I talked to him this morning. He makes a persuasive argument, but here's in essence what he's going to say, or what he has said rather. None of us want to get rid of the filibuster, but the Democrats are going to do it as soon as they're back in charge, so we might as well do it now. My response to the president this morning, after listening politely, was, well, the quickest way, the best way to prevent all that is let's don't put the Democrats back in charge. There's no guarantee that the Democrats are going to take over the Senate in the midterm elections, or even after that. The filibuster only pertains to the Senate. It doesn't pertain to the House. So to keep the Democrats from doing that, we just hold the Senate, which we're planning on doing.
Well, that's going to be a big project, obviously, for Republicans for the next 18 months. Senator Kennedy, thank you.
And that was Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana. I said Mississippi earlier. I don't know why I get him confused with Mississippi. I don't know. But anyway, so a couple of things there, for the narrative that says every Republican always agrees and all Republicans agree with President Trump, that just throws that out the window. That dispels that. And I understand they don't want to risk setting a precedent, because eventually the Democrats probably will come back into control at some point. And so, and whether or not they do away with the filibuster, I don't have a crystal ball and I can't see into the future, so I can't tell you, I don't know. But the point is that that it's worth noting. A couple of other things. The other thing I don't know is I wonder, and this is just something I wonder, folks, and maybe you join me in wondering and we'll watch, because many times, like the Wizard of Oz, not knowing who's behind the curtain, pulling the strings. And I wonder whether or not any of these big companies or lobbyists are exerting any kind of influence. Lobbyists exert influence with money. And those are answers I don't know. And I don't really hear anybody asking those questions. Viewpoint, you're on the air.
Good morning, man.
Yes, sir. How are you this morning?
I'm a little chilly.
Yeah, it's going to get colder overnight.
You could say anything other than that. Warm my day right there.
Yeah, well, get ready for it. It's supposed to drop below freezing to a late night tonight, early tomorrow morning.
Well, just go ahead and put the icing on the cake and just put the cherry on top. I hate to get it all over with. I'm gonna be shaking already.
Well, like I invest in a good pair of thermal underwear. that might help.
You can find them anymore.
Wow. Yeah, I guess you're right, because I know I caught the devil last winter trying to find earmuffs. Simple things that used to be plentiful. It's hard to get things you need anymore, it seems.
I don't know. They mess up a good thing by here when you get it out there on the market. They will mess it all up.
What's on your mind this morning?
I don't know why in the world, but I folks I hate to get wrong, but whoever's in names on whoever about in the White House. We had to get along back here with Biden. We had to get along with Obama. We had to get along with Clinton. We had to get along back here with every single lunatic that we put in office. We had to get along with. Why is Trump being undisciplined? Why is everybody making all this noise? For one simple reason. He want to get everybody into all the damn kickbacks by these damn politicians getting rid of. They're getting rich. I mean, look at Pelosi and her old man. You think about anybody worth all the millions? No. Pelosi got all the millions. And all the rest of them crooked politicians up there. But these ain't going to know what these folks back around here in the country, they just can't figure that out. They're brain dead. They went to school, bought books, they had some of the school bags, they ain't on a damn thing. I'm not the smartest and the brightest individual back in the room, but I mean, good God almighty. At least I can put two and two together. One thing back in there, well, I mean, all these politicians, every time there's a war start up somewhere, these politicians in our country, man, get rich. Not just Democrats, but I'm talking about Republicans too, independents. I mean, can't you just imagine yourself out here owning three multi-million-dollar mansions out here and renting one like Bernie Sanders does? I wouldn't know what to do with myself. How about it?
Yeah, well, I suspect that we don't even have. If I don't even know whether or not the legislation is caught up with full disclosure yet. And like you say, somebody needs to tell me, why would I spend $2 or $3 million to get $100,000 a year job? The math doesn't even make sense. I spent millions of dollars to get paid $100,000. Something that doesn't add up. So somebody's making some money that we don't know about somehow, and I don't know what the answer is, but it certainly is a red flag, and we don't need to just be buying all these narratives without questioning what's really going on.
You can go in Congress, spend a whole bunch of money to get in there for a job that I mean, what? $1,000, $200,000 a year?
Tops.
Come out here, 8 years later, back here,
You're a multi-millionaire. I don't know. That's something to think about. But we don't want to think about that, because what we want to do is blindly follow the narratives of these political parties and fight like cats and dogs to defend our various positions. And the bottom line is all of us are being hoodwinked.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I mean, you take an honest man out here and you turn him crooked as a dog trying to leg by the time he gets in politics in 4 years and come back out. That should be one of the biggest crooks the whole ever laid out on. And when he went in there, he was a saint.
Well, I'm sure it's tempting. I would like to think that we still have some honest elected officials left somewhere, but I give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't want to be, I don't want to just say all of them are crooked, but I'm like you. I know the temptation must be there. The lobbyists, in the behind the scenes financiers, but you can't get to them because you don't see who they are.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, Trump is a businessman. He never was a politician. The only one reason he got in there is to shake up the narrative. He said the first time I go in and clean the swamp. Well, I mean, this second time, we we are still finding dirty laundry back in every politician that's up there. Not just Democrat, Republican too. Independent whatsoever. I mean, we know that only for the communists. The Democrat back and independent. And they ain't a whole lot of independents left, except for Bernie Sanders. And we all know by here, he's an ain't no communist. They keep voting for him. And I'm going to see by here what this new mayor out there in New York by here is going to do.
We'll see. That'll be interesting to see how he. Yeah, no, I was going to say I'm curious to see what he's going to produce. It'll be real interesting to see.
People ain't going to take care. They ain't going to take care of the businesses and apartment buildings that they got. The city going to take it away from them.
I don't mean to laugh, but I mean, that's New York City. I'm sorry, and free bus transit. I can get on the bus for free, and what else is he going? Oh, the grocery stores, free food. So that means that you have brought my vote. You're buying votes. Now let's see if you can produce.
Yeah, they take the Democrats that screw up by everything on comedy, and then they take the middleman out of here to act on it. And it's not like Biden, don't it? When they say COVID stuff coming out. Hey, COVID come out now, hey, you need the job, hey, you don't have to pay the damn rent. Really?
That's a tough one. Yep. Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for calling. Let's take this last break, and I'll be back with more after these messages.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
There are only 4 seasons, and flu season does not have to be one of them. At the Selma Doctors Clinic, we are here to help keep you safe during this flu season. We're offering flu shots daily from 8 to 9 each morning and 1 to 2 each afternoon. Call us today at 874-9064 to make an appointment for that annual flu shot. Selma Doctors Clinic is located at 509 Parkman Avenue in the beautiful historical district in Selma. We have Dr. Park Chittum Sr., Dr. Park Chittum II, Dr. Daniel Clower, and our nurse practitioner, Mary Elizabeth Schweitzer. Call us today at 874-9064 to schedule an appointment for your flu shot, and remember that walk-ins are always welcome. We are the Selma Doctors Clinic, where we are always here for you.
We're reliable Chevrolet and GMC in downtown Selma. Barry Parker, a lot of folks are wondering, when I have trouble with my vehicle, where can I take it? There aren't any like shade tree mechanics and garages around anymore.
That's right, George, but you can bring it right here to us. We service not only the GM products, but we service Ford, Toyota, Nissan, Honda, you name it. We can do all your service work right here. And don't forget, when you get to that 5th oil change, guess what happens? It's free. You heard me right, free. Every 5th oil change is free, and it's not just limited to 1 per family. It can be 4 or 5 cars in a family. When each and every one of them gets to the 5th oil change, it's free. Just another way we say thank you for doing business with us here at Reliable Chevrolet GMC. We have tires, we have transmission, we have engines, we have oil filter, air filter, brake pads, you name it, we can do it all. And we got the latest and greatest when it comes to front end alignment machine. It looks like you're headed down the airport, taking off with all the lights flashing. So come by and see us.
Reliable Chevrolet and GMC, not only your headquarters for service for your automobile, but if you happen to be in the market for a new or used vehicle, nobody better to help you than the folks that have been in business for 79 years.
That's right, George. 79 years, the same location right here. We can do financial institutions set up with all the major banks and credit unions, and of course, GM Financial. The phone number is 872-2337, or the website is reliablegmc.com. We invite you to come down and let us help you with your service and your transportation needs.
At Reliable in Selma, where they truly have it all. Bad weather? Under the weather. Relax at home. Your meds are on the way. At Pilcher McBride Drug Company. We never want a busy day or a rainy day to keep you from getting the meds you need. That's why we bring our store to your door. Our citywide prescription delivery program helps you stay on track with your medication regimen without ever leaving the house. Give us a call today at 334-875-7208.
1490 WHBB. You know, I have to remind us, and I have to remember and remind myself that my job is to be suspicious. And I wear a lot of different hats. I wear the hat of a publisher, a broadcaster, a reporter, and a journalist. Freedom of speech suggests that we don't just accept what a person says without some scrutiny. But that's just that's the nature of the beast. Now, one other thing that happened over the weekend, I don't hear a lot of folks talking about today, is the deal that was made regarding what's being described as weight loss drugs, but they really were. Ozempic is really designed for diabetes and heart and stroke drugs, the preventive drugs. That the side effect end up being the loss of weight, and so people trying to lose weight want Ozempic seems to be the most popular drug. They run something like $1,300 a month. That's a lot of money, right? And so, but there was a deal struck over the weekend. Let's see. This is a report on that. Let's listen for a moment to see what that was all about.
I'm Gabrielle Harmon, and well-known weight loss drug GLP-1 will now be more accessible. The Trump administration has announced a deal between two of the world's well-known drug companies that make Zepbound and Wegovy. The new price cut will be for patients that qualify for Medicaid and Medicare and for eligible users of the planned new prescription site TrumpRx. A deep cut from what some of your neighbors are currently paying, which is as high as $13.50 a month.
They have negotiated a reduced price for the government of $245 a month. Medicare patients would be paying a copay of $50 a month. And for Medicaid, that's going to depend on whether states decide to opt in to do it, and then they set the copays.
The administration says the goal is to improve both access and affordability, and that the drug will be available next year on the administration's prescription website. Gabrielle Harmon, WTKR News 3.
And so that's some good news, especially for patients who have been prescribed Ozempic or some of the other GPL drugs. I think is what is how they're classified. So there's some movement, some things taking place that we should be making note of. So we'll see how things go with. Hopefully, this government shutdown will come to an end. I suspect that somebody's making money off of it. That's how the system works. And we need to understand that and pay attention to the way this thing works. That usually when these kind of things happen, somebody's making money. And a lot of people make money off of the back of the poor. There are people that make money off of people that are suffering. They have no conscience about that. Their goal is to make money. Power and money. I'm not going to lose sight of that. So don't be offended if you hear me sometimes be suspicious. And if you see or I say that that's a red flag. But P.T. Barnum said there's a sucker born every second. If you can't dazzle them with brilliance, then baffle them with BS. That's the con man's number one motto. Let the buyer beware. And so I'm just saying, folks, we need to really read in between the lines and consider the source as we listen to all of these different sales pitches, because that's what they all are. Everybody's selling something. And so beware and be watchful. Don't be so gullible. When we buy into all of these narratives, what we're really doing is setting ourselves up for a letdown. And I don't want to be a party, but I'm like Booker T. Washington in Tuskegee. If you go on the campus, you'll see the infamous sculpture of him taking the veil of ignorance off of a kneeling human being. He's pulling the veil of ignorance off of his head, in essence saying, let there be light. Huh? You have yourself a safe and enjoyable day. I'll see you tomorrow morning. The good Lord willing, early happy Veterans Day. Stay tuned for Fox News. Up next on WHBB Selma, it is 9 o'clock.
The shutdown may end.